If there's one game that I could say has resonated with me the most in recent years, it would have to be Red Dead Redemption 2. Admittedly, it is a game that, at first, I didn't really pay that much attention to. I was mostly just glad to hear that Rockstar didn't forget how to make games after milking GT Online for so long. But when I got to play it, I realized that there might have been a reason why it took so long. It is a game that I keep regularly coming back to just to remind myself of how good it is.
This right here is my favorite thing, ever. In the history of forever. I think about this every day. I think about this all night long. I stay awake, not sleeping, because I'm thinking about this.
So, what makes Red Dead 2 that good of a game? Well, there's a lot. I think the most obvious selling point for Red Dead 2 right off the bat is its story. Now, I don't want to talk much about the story because I don't want to spoil it. Sure, the game's been out for a couple of years now, but it's such a one-of-a-kind experience that I genuinely believe everyone should play themselves. So, if you want to know more about the story, I strongly urge you to play it yourself. Trust me when I say that you will not regret it. The storytelling, the characters, and the quality of all of it is really phenomenal, and it's a great journey to experience. On top of that, every character and their writing is supported by stellar voice work and motion capture performances, which really enhances the experience. I mean, there's a reason why people talk about this game to this day, and why so many people still make videos about Arthur being an amazing protagonist, as well as other videos dissecting the game's many other characters and its story. It's really that good. But of course, a game just having a good story doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be popular for years. And this game's got so much more to it than just a story. Combat is not one of those first things that people usually mention, but let me just say right out the bat, it's clean. At first, it feels really awkward, because you'll be cocking almost every weapon after each shot, which means that basically you'll be clicking twice every time you shoot. There's also this circle, which I'm guessing is your character adjusting their scope to the target. It's basically like an accuracy circle, and the longer you wait, the smaller it gets until it's just the size of the dot where it's the most accurate. It basically starts decreasing as soon as you cock your gun. This one might also take some time getting used to, but once you master both of these mechanics, you'll be pulling off the coolest shots. Or have the most awkward close distance scenarios. It's really fun, and having these small changes to what would otherwise be just another average gunplay is really cool and even has some skill to it. And for the stuff where skill ain't enough, you can always pop your Deadeye. Speaking of Deadeye, most of the quick draw scenarios or events where you're overwhelmed by the enemy have you or expect you to use the Deadeye. But as the time went on, people took a liking to quick drawing in real time instead, and have turned it into an extra skill to learn. So instead of using the Deadeye in open world scenarios, you try to rely on your good camera angles and precision to do the work. And let me tell you, it looks super badass when you pull it off. In my last playthrough, I've actually decided to try it out myself, and it's quickly turned into one of my favorite activities to do. I usually play a high honor Arthur, but whenever someone comes to me asking for trouble, I make damn sure to try and flex my quick draw skills, and I've actually managed to capture a good one. Frankly, it has been done on a guy who was completely innocent, and I mistook him for being responsible for that crashed wagon, but it made for a decent clip, so as justifications go, it's enough for me. But the elephant in the room, the real reason why I think this game is so good and worthy of the praise even all those years after its release, is that it is incredibly detailed. Like a level of detail that I can promise you've never seen in any game. If you think that shooting a fish tank in Splinter Cell was the peak of detail, oh boy, you haven't played this game. By the way, it's actually pretty impressive for Splinter Cell that came out in 2002 to have this kind of detail. But Red Dead Redemption 2 takes that, magnifies it by 1,000, and puts it on a golden platter. Everything in this game is ridiculous levels of detail. I mean, it goes from NPCs having their day and night cycles to your horse's balls shrinking if it's cold outside. And I bet you've heard of the second one. Jokes aside though, it still baffles me to this day how much work the devs have put into almost everything you see having some sort of extra detail. I mean, we've been told by Rockstar themselves that their goal in game development is to always make their next game better than their last game. And judging by their history, I'd say that they've kept their promise. But with Red Dead Redemption 2, it's like they just took crack cocaine and said, fuck it, let's just go all in. I mean, just look at this. When NPCs eat, they actually progressively clean out their plate. Cyberpunk 2077 came out about 3 years after Red Dead 2, and look how their food looks. Plus, they don't even eat it, they're just pretending to. When you see people doing some kind of construction like hammering a nail, you can actually see the nail getting hammered, and once they're done, they move on to another place to work on. You can even see dudes just walking around bringing supplies to a house that they're building, and later in the day actually building the house. In fact, you can see a lot of these houses being fully built by the time you reach the epilogue. And this is just a few examples. I'll try to name a few more and make it progressively crazier, just so you understand how much there is. When you shoot from a revolver, you can see empty casings in the drum. Arthur is gradually growing hair and beard, and if you don't want to look like a caveman, you gotta go and shave once in a while. He can also lose or gain weight depending on how much you eat. If you shoot a hole in a boat, it will begin to slowly fill with water and eventually sink. When talking to NPCs, depending on distance, they either shout or talk normally. So when it comes to most main mission dialogue, they basically had to record each line twice, once when talking up close and once when shouting.
Man, they can get of late. The meaner, the better. You worry too much. Forgive me if I ain't wholly faithful in something an old Driscoll told you when you was half drunk in a jail cell.
He kept yapping about it, saying how they've been hitting it on the regular. That's a good lead in my book.
Damn old Driscolls are everywhere now. How the hell you and Lenny end up down here, anyway?
Oh, you know how it is? Few loose ends. Drink here, drink there.
What loose ends?
Nothing that needs to concern you. I always pay my share.
It concerns me when you put us in danger and we don't realize till it's too late.
If you put a tied up NPC in shallow water, they'll try moving above the water level so they can breathe. Most town NPCs have their full day and night cycle. They eat, work, and relax at the end of the day. There's a great video about this by DefendTheHouse, so if you want to see the full thing, I'll put the link in the description. Beavers are capable of building dams and rivers.
What the hell?
If you play 5-finger fillet and cut yourself a couple times, you can see the visible scars on Arthur's hand. Light can shine through people's ears. Cats can catch mice and rats. If you shoot the parts on the wagon that hold the wheel together, the wheel eventually breaks down. And I could just go on and on and on. I mean, let me just say that if GTA 6 is supposed to one-up Red Dead Redemption 2, they've got a lot of work on their hands, and then some. But if Rockstar will keep their word, it makes me that much more excited to see it. Because once it comes out, if it ends up actually dethroning Red Dead Redemption 2, hell, you might as well just call it the game of the millennium, because we all know damn well that it'll take years for someone else to even get close to dethroning it, and most likely it's gonna be Rockstar themselves once again. Of course, these little nooks and crannies wouldn't be as impressive if it wasn't for the world that they're set in. The world of Red Dead 2 is huge. And it's not one of those Assassin's Creed Valhalla type worlds where it's so big and full of nothing that it makes you question why they even bothered making such a large map. It's actually funny because the entire 6-chapter long main story doesn't even utilize like half of the map. If you've mostly just played the main story, your map might look a little something like this once you reach the final chapter. And the full map looks like this. Yeah, so not only is there an entire epilogue section, but there is a huge part of the map that you might not have even seen when playing as Arthur. And there's always something for you to discover. When I played this game for the first time, my first few early thoughts were, is this really just a couple of small towns and then just trees and rocks? Well, no. It's actually very far from that. You can discover so many hidden spots and places that you might have completely missed on your first playthrough. There's hidden quests, encounters, and events, as well as stashes and so much more. You could be riding through a certain road for the 5th time that playthrough, and on your 6th, find a random dude running from the wolves or something. And very often, It's not always as simple as it seems. You can do as little as give a beggar some money and he'll let you know about some secret underground gambling operation that's taken place somewhere, which turns into a full-on robbery mission. It's honestly insane. And the longer you spend time just messing around in the world, the more likely of a chance there is for you to find something cool that you might have never seen before. Yesterday, I played a little bit of the story mode to capture some footage, and when I set up my camp so I can fast travel, I ran into an encounter I've never seen before.
Nice fire. Mind if I warm my bones? Y'all knew this was Murphy Hills. You should be careful where you're camping.
I can look after myself. Besides, it's a free country.
Free country? No. Everything bought and paid for. And we gonna protect what's ours. Y'all be careful where you wander. Come on, let's go. I think you got the message.
Gonna kill you next time.
I have never seen this in my damn life. Also, this game is just beautiful. I don't know what they were cooking with at the studio, but the game's aesthetics still blow me away. No matter where you are, you'll be running into the most beautiful sights you've ever seen. It's just something with the art style of this game that makes you enjoy every place, everywhere you go. Even simple places like forests or the plains of the Heartlands can capture some stunning moments for you. This might sound a little weird, but my favorite place for this is the bayou. You might be like, how the hell would a fucking swamp be a good example of a good scenery? I don't know what it is about that place, but there's something incredibly magical about it.
I don't want to know what just touched my leg.
Try going in there at night or early in the morning, and you might have some of the most beautiful walks you've ever had in a video game. The creepy fog, the trees covering the outside world, and the sun or moonlight shining through the tree lines. It almost feels like you've just walked into a painting. Just watch out for the alligators. And that basically sums up what I wanted to talk about. It's honestly just impressive how much stuff, and good stuff on top of that, Rockstar Games have managed to package into a single game. And it is definitely in the handful of games where paying the full $60 for it still feels like a steal for all the fun and the content you'll get out of it. However, I feel like it's worth briefly mentioning that it's still a game, and there are going to be some bugs and glitches along the way. There's also the unspoken part of the game called Red Dead Online, and let me just quickly say, since I play this game on PC, the online mode is literally unplayable. Like, I don't even care that online doesn't get any updates, because playing the mode itself is an impossible task on its own. But of course, that would be a topic on its own. As far as story mode is concerned, I wouldn't hesitate calling it a masterpiece. And due to the huge amount of extra care put into it, I genuinely believe that Red Dead Redemption 2 will be one of those games that will never truly die.